Welcome to another edition of the Big Nick Energy Podcast. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment on YouTube most importantly, but also Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Pods. I have a really cool guest today. First, also make sure to check out bignickenergy.com. Code is Xmas23 for free shipping from now until December 11th. There's 3 to 4 days left. Make sure you get that code in. Free shipping by December 11th. It guarantees you'll get all your merch before Christmas Day. My super duper special guest today is Ryan Sirgiovanni. He is currently the graphic operator for the New York Knicks. He's been working for MSG, i.e. the Knicks and the Rangers, since 2009. So he has a lot of inside intel on what the teams have been like for the past 14 years. Ryan, how you doing today, man?
I am doing really good. Thanks for having me. Big fan of the content you guys create and the podcast and everything. So thank you very much. Yeah, man. Since 2009, a lot's been going on at MSG. Seen a lot. Very thankful for my job where I am. And yeah, excited to do this podcast with you.
I know I don't know what a graphics operator does exactly. And I know you sent me your list of things you did up until this point. So starting with 2009, do you want to give a quick synopsis of how you got to where you're at and then what your job actually entails today?
Oh, yeah, for sure. The 2009-10 season, I was hired as a production assistant, which is, kind of like a runner. You print out the rundowns for the producers and the talent, and you get a lot of coffee for people. I was a logger, so I had to, do play-by-play for every, write down how the basket was scored, have a time code, give that to a producer so they could create a highlight package for it. So I did that for the first year. That was the year that they had David Lee, Nate Robinson, and then they kind of traded away everyone, got T-Mac back, tried to clear the cap space and try to make a run for some of the big players in the offseason.
That was what led to Amare.
That led to signing the Mari, Knicks are back,
Yeah.
So that was super exciting.
The best almost made game-winning shot I've ever seen.
It was a really exciting time. And for someone just getting into it, really there were some down years before that, but then this was all fresh, all new for me. They were really good. Amari went on that 30-point streak. Remember, 9 straight games, something like that.
Yeah.
They traded for Melo. Really super exciting stuff. That year I became a graphics producer for the Knicks pregame show. So a graphics producer is kind of in charge of, researching stats, making sure all our sponsors and promos make air correctly. For the pregame show, you're creating full pages, lower thirds, basically anything you see on the game or the pregame show. I'm kind of creating that, working with a graphics operator who physically types it up and puts it onto air. So I did that for a few years, started traveling a little bit, working a few games. I was the fill-in, kind of learning the role. Linsanity happened. That was the coolest, man.
Yeah. January 2012, right?
January, I think it was February 2012 to March. It was very short when you look back, how short it actually was, but what a blast. I did the game for the Lakers. It was
sick. The spin move on Derek Fisher.
Dude, yeah, Kobe, it was Friday Night Knicks, Linsanity dominating. I think at 30-something, 38 points. They beat the Lakers, and funny story with that. So I was only doing the pregame show at the time, and then there was another guy doing the games, and he got sick that day. So he had food poisoning. So it was first day of a back-to-back, and then after the game, they had to go to Minnesota. So I was the fill-in guy. So he was sick. I went to MSG thinking all right, do this game. Tomorrow do the post-game show. All is good. Not traveling. He got sick. I had to go fill in for him. I had to go to Kmart, buy a bunch of different clothes to go to Minnesota because I don't even think I had a jacket that day, and it was freezing. And I think they won the next day too. It was a fun time.
That's really awesome, man. So that brings us up to the 2012 season. 2012-2013 is the 54-win season. And then it's then in 2013-2014, you started traveling for all the games. Is that correct?
All the games for MSG Network. Pretty much all the games. Yeah, I was on the team charter.
Were you doing just Knicks or Knicks and Rangers?
Just Knicks at the time. I was started my career, great Knicks. Because it was hard. Like if you're traveling, like after a Knicks game, you're either traveling that night or the next day. You're pretty much traveling to go to your next destination. Like you would always travel the day before if you could.
Right.
So it's a grind, man. Like I give those guys a lot of credit who've been doing it for years and years and years. I did it for a few years, but I got the little sneak peek of the NBA life, which is pretty fun. Like nice big plane, the hotels. Like so every now and then, like in like a cold city, if it wasn't like a big thing to do, they would rent out like a movie theater, so everyone got to go to the movies with the Knicks. I was loving it. I was like I was like a kid, just like nothing's better than this.
Talk about something you'd have to do when you're on the road to Minnesota. That sounds straight up like a Minnesota idea.
Minnesota for sure.
Yeah. Oh
Milwaukee, Minnesota. We actually one year the Super Bowl was playing, and we were on the road in Milwaukee, and at the Knicks rented out a place, and like we got to go and hang with the players and stuff. So that was a fun time. Yeah, there were like little perks like that. So super thankful for my time.
Ryan, that's really awesome. You were on the road for the Melo 62 game then, correct?
That was a home game.
It was a home game. What was the vibe like around that time?
Dude, that was the sickest. Like everything we were building was like Carmelo Anthony. What do you have? 37 points in the first half, and like, what's the record for points in a half? And it's Bernard King with 40 on his 60-point Christmas Day. So it's like, could he beat Bernard's record? Like, could he do it? Could he do it? Melo could do it, but like at that time, I think Kobe had the record at MSG, 61. So you really want to be a Knick to get that record. And that's where I created that player matchup graphic where it was Melo versus Michael Gilchrist. Crushed him there. I wasn't even on Twitter at the time, but and I knew it was blowing up then. So people texted me like, "You made this?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Dude, that still goes around.
I know, it's too funny. I'm like, everything had to be Melo. Like, we can't talk about a different player on the Knicks at that time. I mean, come on.
Yeah, absolutely not. That's so cool. And now, so you're a graphics operator now. What's your daily job look like on this time?
Yeah, so since 2016, 17, I've been a graphics operator. So I'm a TV technician, and I don't travel anymore. I do both Knicks and Rangers home games and Knicks and Rangers studio shows for the pre and the post game show, like when they travel. So I'm making sure everything's working correctly. I'm working with a graphics producer, my man Skylar Darrell right now. He's awesome. He's a whiz. He's like, he knows how to research everything. He knows how to, he comes up with the trivia questions. But it's really nice because since I've done the job before, we kind of go back and forth on different things. I have different ideas. When's the last time this happened? And he like look it up, or he comes up with a lot of stuff. And the producer comes up with a lot of stuff, Breen or Kenny, whoever's working that day. It's a lot of back and forth. We're talking with the stats guy who's on headset with us in the truck. He's right next to Breen, and we kind of talk to him throughout the game, and he relays that information that we find to the announcer.
That's so cool. That's really awesome.
We're working, watching TV, watching the game for a living. It's very blessed.
And then watching your own artwork and your own graphics come out. That's so cool.
Yeah.
How much of your stuff like makes it to like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all that type of stuff?
I'm starting to see that more and more. The Knicks account or our MSG Twitter account would repost it or something like that. But yeah, more and more for sure. But yeah, really just focus on all the live games. It's just what I do.
And I know this might be a little ways back. Obviously, you said you started in 2009. When you first got hired, do you remember who interviewed you and how did the interviewing hiring process go?
I don't even remember who hired me, but I was super excited to talk to anyone and be like, yeah, I will do anything for this job. I'm like, please, I'm a huge Knicks fan. Love the Garden. I've only been here a few times at the time. Like, I don't think I went to a Knicks game as a fan until I started working there. But then just to get tickets is so hard. But, big fan, love the history, love stats. So just kind of like a natural thing for me to do. And I think I showed my excitement, and I'm like, I'm willing to work. That's the thing in TV. You always have to say yes.
Yep.
You always have to be available. And really, it's like no days off, nights, weekends. You just, yes, I'm available, whatever it is. And then you change your plans later.
You're preaching to the choir, man. It's 24/7. I'm working 10 to 6 right now, nights plus overtime. So
Dude,
I
I
totally
appreciate
get
the
it.
grind. Like your crew with the content creating, it's really phenomenal. It's hysterical. It's
Thank
informative.
you.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Keep it up.
Trying for sure. And then Ryan, you have a book coming out, right? Do you want to talk about that for a little bit?
Dude, I am so excited about this book. It's about our man, Walt Clyde Frazier. It's I'm a dad now, and I created a children's book about Clyde's life, rhyming, of course, with as many Clydeisms as I could fit in there. You know, moving, grooving, shaking and baking, winning and grinning is the title, and it's going to come out this season. I'll start promoting more and more as I get closer to the release date, but yeah, super excited. Couldn't have been about a better dude, and just as a dad, like reading kids books to my kids, and there's a lot of not good stuff, and like I want to be entertained also as I'm reading this book. So I think a lot of parents and or grandparents who follow Clyde would absolutely love this book because I mean the guy is a treasure. He's been a Knick for over 50 years. You know what I mean?
He's an absolute legend. I think he's at this point, because not most of us that are still diehard fans or become diehard NBA fans, most people haven't seen him play anymore, obviously,
Exactly.
unless you like look up highlights. He's still been a broadcasting legend for like 30 plus years, which is astounding that he's had 2 Hall of Fame careers within one human being.
He's the only person to do that. I know TNT crew became like Shaq is part of the TNT crew, so he became a Hall of Famer as part of the TNT crew, but Clyde is the only individual to ever do it, or the first individual to ever do it. So
That's unbelievable. He is it makes sense that someone like him would be a groundbreaker for something like that, because he's incredible.
incredible, the best. I mean, like who else has like 2 careers like that, where he's a Hall of Fame superstar point guard and then a Hall of Fame announcer with like the suits and the rhymes and just like how lucky are we as Knicks fans, you know?
The cow print and the leopard print, man, they both always get me every time.
Both in the book for sure.
Oh my God. And then I don't know if you said the title, but the title is Winning and Grinning.
Winning and grinning. Yep.
Love that. Ultimate Clydeism. Let's go. I absolutely love that, Ryan. I know you said before, so you were traveling with the team for approximately 3 to 4 years.
Yep.
Just to throw in perspective of like the teams you were traveling with, this was during Phil Jackson. For everyone to have
there was some Phil Jackson. Yes.
For everyone to have some flashback nightmares real quick. 2014, 2015, the Knicks went 17-65 under Derek Fisher. And the 3 leaders in minutes this year, do you remember who led the team in minutes for the worst of those seasons?
I'm not sure. Was it Langston Galloway? He had to be right up there if it wasn't him.
I think he might have been the next year, and he was like 5th on this list. The top 3 were Shane Larkin, Jason Smith, and second year Tim Hardaway Jr.
Okay, Timmy. All right.
So what was the most exciting thing you saw out of the teams that weren't necessarily succeeding that much on the road?
That's where I was like just appreciative where I was, you know, working in sports, and that's when I got to travel, and like, you know, I got to really grow a nice bond with my production team, and got to know Mike Breen, Clyde Frazier, Kenny Albert. It was Tina Savasio at the time as a reporter. Spiro Ditas was there for a spurt, and really got close with those guys because you're with them majority. That's like your family on the road, and you know, it's definitely more fun now.
Yes, 100%.
Cover a winning team. It's a lot easier to come up with the graphics about like, oh, when's the last time this team won this many games in a row or hit this many threes in a quarter, or you know, you're always thinking like, what's the next thing that could happen? And you know, I have to say it's definitely more fun now than it was then. But I have worked 2 of the 17 win seasons in franchise history, which are you know, it's makes me appreciate days like today.
Maybe, Brian, I don't want to say this, but people might say it was your fault.
It might have been me, but I got there, and then they went and made the playoffs 2010, 2011, 2012, those first 3 years with Melo and Amari, and and then I just rude awakening, man. But you know, the production team, we always will put on a good show. We will always do a top quality broadcast. We will always like we always do our best. Like, so for every game, if it's a 7:30 start, we're there at 1:30 for a home game. Just preparing, just making sure everything's working correctly, making sure we have all our sponsors, everything's spelled correctly. Everything is, and obviously things happen, but it's live TV. You just move on. But, everyone works so hard. We have the best in the business, and, couldn't say much more about those guys.
Really, as long as you always spell the teams right and you always get that Chase Bank logo right, I think you'll be okay overall. I've seen plenty of errors.
Get the sponsors correct, and you'll be okay.
That's really it.
Every time I see a mistake, like on TV, like not one of my games or someone I'm doing, like just watching football or whatever it is, I'm like, oh, I know exactly how that happened. Or the first name, last name, and like a blank XXX. And I'm like, yeah, I know how that happened. Things like that. It's just like, it happens. It's live TV, but you just move on. Can't let the mistake get you too bad, and just keep going.
Like I said, man, I work for CBS Sports a lot of the time. And I mean, a lot of the times, a lot of the people typing up or doing the intros and stuff, like basically your job or like the newer version level.
Yeah.
It's like a 22-year-old kid.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You're like spelling Tenakupo the first time. He's like, I don't know. And just like, it's just not right at all.
50 times if you have to, just whatever it is. My biggest thing now that I'm working hockey is to make sure I do not type the word shit. It's between shot, shift, and hit. You're one letter away from a disaster. So
that's so funny.
I pause a little extra second. If I'm typing that word out, it might take an extra second to make error, but it'll be correct.
It'd be really funny if just every time you did it, your computer turned into emoji, and then just randomly during a highlight package, it says, and Panaran had 5 shits on goal. It's just the poop emoji. It'd be hilarious.
My nightmare.
Ryan, so during the time you were traveling, or even the time just being in MSG as a fan, what was the loudest you've ever heard a Knicks game? Was it Linsanity? Was it a playoff game, or was it a different one?
It's always the best at MSG. So I've been working the home game since 2009. The home game, probably one of those Lynn games, probably the Lakers one. The Melo 62 was awesome. The crowd is nothing like it, man. When the team is hot and feeling the crowd, it's just so fun. There was one game a few years ago, I think it was against the Raptors, and I want to say they outscored the team by like 31 points in, I want to say, the third quarter. It was the opposite of the third quarter of doom. It was like the third quarter of boom, and it was just like, I think they outscored them by like a team record 31 points, and like I felt like they didn't miss a shot. It was just, what an unbelievable time at MSG.
Could have used that Tuesday. That would have been nice. It was like that the first half.
The team went so cold, man. It's like they're good 3-point shooters. I feel like it happens, but the whole team slumped at the same time.
And the other team was on hot fire. To see one team shoot below 35%, the other team shoot over 60% from 3. I think you lose every game. That should be something you guys look up for the Cadillac Trivia Question.
Exactly. Has that ever happened? The answer is probably no.
Yeah, that is too big of a gap to make up. What's the loudest you ever heard a Knicks game when you were on the road with the team? Like, when was the time that most fans came and took over an opposing arena?
Orlando. Definitely Orlando. It's just like Knicks South. It's just like, definitely Orlando. I can't pick out a game, but like Knicks fans will travel for sure.
And it's right next to Disney. I mean, then you have a reason to bring your kids. It's a whole thing. And what about for a Rangers game? Traveling to an opposing place, what's the loudest the Rangers fans have ever been that you heard?
That's a good question. Loudest home game I've worked was, I know you asked me a road game, but loudest home game I think was the 2 years ago, Game 7 against the Penguins. Was like Panarin scored an overtime goal to send them to the next round. That was super amazing. Road game, it was probably one of the local Philly, probably when Philly's not so good. Ranger fans will take over and just like,
that's awesome.
A cheaper seat, and just like, there was a Devils game recently where it did not feel like a Devils game. It was a Rangers home crowd in New Jersey, for sure.
That's so cool. And now that makes sense. I mean, the Rangers are what? I don't follow hockey. They're first right now, right?
First in like everything. Yeah. Wins, points. Breadman is crushing it. Mika, Chris Kreider. It's a fun. I was a Ranger fan as a kid, but like as I've been working more, it's like it just makes you more of a fan, and just like, like I said, it's so much more fun to work for a winning team. And the team in the last few years, especially this year, both teams, like, it hasn't been anything like it,
Yeah, that's so cool. And then from when you were traveling with the Knicks still, what team like had the least amount of Knicks fans ever show up? Was it Boston, I would imagine, or was it another place you went where you were like, there's not a single piece of blue or orange anywhere in the stands?
You'll always find a few because Knicks fans do travel. But yeah, had to be Boston. Those fans they're brutal. But I do have to say, because we traveled to Boston so much, like it was in our division, along with like Philly and Toronto, we worked with like the same technical crew like almost every time we traveled. So it's like you hate this team in Boston, but I love traveling to Boston because I love working with the crew. Everyone was so good and friendly, and like, it makes me hate the Celtics a little less,
Don't tell me that. I don't want to hear that. I'd rather just keep hating them. I live in Connecticut. I'm just stuck next to Boston everything.
The pizza's all right. It's not New York pizza, but like, yeah, it's not. I do enjoy the cruise there for sure.
That would be the real podcast for me to get. I need to get my fiance to be on because she loves New Haven pizza and swears by New Haven pizza, being from New Haven County. I need to just have her on arguing with a New Yorker for 20 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. Great
God.
episode.
So Ryan, you've been there for a while. Obviously, it seems like the Knicks are sustaining their level of success the best since at least 2012, 2013. But from a more consistent standpoint, I would argue the late 90s with like Jeff Van Gundy before he left, with the Charles Spirell, Allen Houston, Patrick Ewing, later career Patrick Ewing, etc. But where do you feel overall with where the Knicks are currently at within the East and the current landscape of the NBA with their level of success or maintaining it?
So I have always been very optimistic about my teams, to a fault usually.
I envy you. I wish that.
It's just built in me. I'm always optimistic until it's too late. But I really believe having a consistent team. I'm really interested to see how it plays out. I mean, Tibbs teams usually, by the end of the year, they're usually clicking and playing really well. And if everyone is doing the right thing and making their shots and playing good defense, usually good things happen. Of course, every team is looking for a star, but at the same time, like, what a position we're in where we're consistently good. We have all these talented young players. We have very tradable contracts if we needed to, and all their first round picks. It's like, when something does open up, when that guy opens up, I do think they can pounce. But at the same time, they have like such a great team, and I love watching. Like, I didn't get to really watch the '70s Knicks, but I got to watch, do some research about it. Like, ball movement. Yes, they had some stars in Willis and Clyde, but they shared the ball and they made the right play and they played hard defense, and it's nice to see that.
And it's been a while since we've had that over a 3, 4, 5 year time frame. So it's just nice to set a bottom, like our floor is higher than it's ever been in my lifetime watching this team.
For sure. I think people are just so used to, like, we got to make a change. We have to improve. We have to do this. But, like, maybe quickly takes that next level. RJ takes that next level. Brunson is clearly taking his game to another level. That was, like, ridiculous what I heard in the news, how, like, whoever said it, like, Brunson is not the best guy on the team and on any team that they play. It's like,
Kenny Smith, and he brought up Paolo Banchero. Like, Paolo Banchero gets 10 points a game once every 8 games. What?
He's a good player and he's going to get better, but like, look what Brunson did in the playoffs last year and how he's translated that to this year. And he's only the guy, like, what a leader. Like, he works so hard. He's obviously not physically the biggest guy or the fastest or strongest, but he has so many moves. He works hard. Everyone looks up to him. He's that guy.
Yeah, he has one of the deepest bags in the NBA, and having a deep bag doesn't mean you have to move the fastest. Not everyone has to be Kyrie with the deep bag. Sometimes you can move slower, and it still works.
No, I tell my kid, I'm like, listen, like, you can't be LeBron. You could be, learn from Jalen Brunson. Learn these moves. Work on your dribble. Like, this guy has been like practicing for years, and he's in the spotlight, and it's showing.
When I have kids, I'm gonna have them watch Jalen Brunson, Klay Thompson, and Tony Allen highlights and be
Those are
like,
the
"You're not gonna
guys.
be the tallest dude, man, but you can do these 3 things well."
Exactly. I'm the same way. Not the tallest, but you work on the fundamentals, you'll you'll have some fun.
100%. Ryan, as someone that did do the team for a while, and then you've seen, so like we established, you've seen the worst, and I want you to be able to, if you had the floor, to like just deliver a message to like the naysayers of like Knicks Twitter /X, Knicks Instagram, just Knicks social media fandom that always believes the sky is falling within one bad game against the Bucks or the Celtics, which going into the year, I don't think a single Knick fan thought we were going to be better than the Bucks or Celtics. So to lose to those teams shouldn't make us think that our season is over. It's like, did you forget what you even predicted and saw just 2 months ago? We're very early in the season still, where every single person I talked to was like, yeah, the Bucks, Celtics, number 1, 2. Maybe the Knicks could get between 3rd and 6th. We lost to the Bucks. This world is over. Trade everyone. Get rid of Randall. I hate Tibbs again. Like, what do you say to those people to keep them from jumping off the ledge?
Relax, man. I mean, like, it's unbelievable, the ups and downs, but I understand that's what social media is, and that gets the reaction, that gets the clicks, that gets all of that. But I mean, like I said, I've always been optimistic. I'm like, okay, that was a bad game. That was a bad game. We shot very poorly. I mean, the first game against the Bucks, they only lost by 5. They shot so poorly, and like, Julius did not play well. It's just like, it's a long, long season. Let's see what we got. Let's see where we are at the deadline. Let's see where we're going to be. You can't go one game at a time. I mean, seriously, how many games did they win before last game? They had a great game where they blew out the Hornets.
They won like 5 or 6.
Yeah, I think they had one game to the Bucks. It's like, aren't the Bucks one of the 4 teams that could win a championship this year? I mean, they got Dame Lillard and Giannis. It's like, yeah, they could lose. It's not the end of the world. We have a very good team. Let's appreciate the team we have, and let's see what they could do, because I believe that as they get more consistent, like, I don't even know, I should know this, but what's their record since Josh Hart has been on the team? They've been one of the better teams in the whole NBA. Let's see what happens.
I don't remember the exact number. I think they're 6th best in the league since that trade.
Yeah, in the entire league. It's like, what are we complaining about? We still have all our assets. We didn't trade our whole farm system and picks for this current team. We have this team plus everything. We're in a great spot.
I agree. I agree entirely. I've been trying to preach that slowly but surely to as many people as possible. We're in a better spot than we have been in the past 20 years.
Yes.
It's a slow build. The Nuggets took 8 years since they drafted Jokic and Murray to win their first title.
Yeah,
it does not happen in a day.
Unbeatable. It's like he's the best player in the league, but it's like, if they're unstoppable. Exactly. Yeah, 8 years. That's crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't happen in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day, and you don't win an NBA title in a day.
No. So keep it, relax, patience. No one wants to hear that or can do that, but it's just what we need to do.
Yeah, if only we could all convince social media to calm down. I'm going to ask you a precursor question before I ask you a question I hope you can answer. But since you're an MSG employee, I don't want to get you in trouble, since I don't know if talking about trades or not talking about trades or players being sent in and out is a taboo, kind of based on what you do. But if I was to ask you about Quentin Grimes going to the bench, or if I was to ask you about what to trade for Evan Fournier for, are you able to answer questions like that?
Yeah, I really don't know about team stuff or anything like that. So, I mean,
not from an insider standpoint, just from a fan, your opinion standpoint.
Yeah. I stick with the team we have, and I don't want to get into any of that type of stuff.
Okay, so I'll definitely avoid trading Evan Fournier, but would you be able to answer about would you if it was up to you, would you like Quentin Grimes to go to the bench for DDV or IQ, or do you like it as it is? What would your answer be to that?
I like DiVincenzo. I feel like he has that, he plays really well with whoever he's playing with. He plays well with Brunson. He has that Villanova connection and Hart and those guys. So I think he can be a starter. Grimes clearly needs some confidence right now, and I think he's going to be back. I mean, we saw what he did in the playoffs against Jimmy last year, and like he could go on a streak any moment. So I still believe in Grimes. I think he's a super talented player. Before the season, we had big expectations for him, and he's definitely struggling a little bit, but he's still a super young player. I think he'll be fine.
It's only his second year. A lot of guys go through like late rookie, early second year struggles before. Growth isn't linear, man. It goes down and up. It's part of life.
Like you're learning to play with, Julius gets his shots, Jalen gets his shots, RJ gets his shots, and then it's Quentin, and he's playing defense on the best guy every game, and if one shot doesn't hit, it's like it's all confidence. I mean, that's something that Clyde says every single time. It's like when a guy's playing really well, it's all confidence, just like everything.
That I agree entirely. And maybe he'll get the same thing that Josh Hart just got. Josh Hart said that he was not satisfied with his role in the media. He'd scored 15 and 17 and 21 points within like 3 of the next 4 games.
He's been killing it. Hart's on fire.
Yeah, he just went back to grabbing those rebounds and pushing it up the court and stopped waiting in the corner as much as like Obi did last year. And maybe Grimes will actually get fed more threes and just pull trigger the second he gets it instead of passing out like he has been.
Yeah, I mean, I know they lost this last game to the Bucks, but like other than that, if the team is winning, let them. It's better to win and go through a rough patch instead of lose and go through a rough patch. It's like he'll figure it out.
Agreed entirely. I'm not going to ask you who you would want to trade away from this current team.
No,
but if there was in the future, you just said the Knicks have assets, they have a bunch of draft picks and stuff. If there was one player out there in the future that you hope the Knicks get, whether trade, free agency, whatever, who is it that you would think helped them get closest to getting over the top now?
I really can't even answer that because I don't even know what player would be available. Like you heard all the rumors about Embiid and Cat coming in, but now it's like those teams are awesome. Like why would they trade those players if that's the deal? So I really don't know who's that guy. I'm hopeful it's someone on the roster already. I'm hoping. I believe that Quickly is like a star that give him some more shots and he'll take some more shots. More shots are going in. I think he's a star.
I just wish that Quentin Grimes had the same gusto and confidence sometimes as IQ does, because IQ will be 1 for 4 and jack up 5 more shots before he stops. Quentin Grimes will be 0 for 2 and then not do it.
He needs to next shot's going in.
He's a gunslinger for sure. Ryan, if you were to pick not exactly, but if you were to guess how the rest of the Knicks season plays out, how do you think the rest of the regular season goes? And then where do you think they fall in the playoffs?
I think they should end up as a top 4 team. I think the Magic are in the top 4 or top 3 right now, where I think they're going to fall. I think the Knicks will stay in one of those positions, 3 or 4, just because I think having a consistent team and knowing where everyone is and how hard they play every single night, I think, and they take a lot more threes this year. And besides last game, they hit a lot more threes every game. And I think that is going to lead to a lot of wins.
Your lips to God's ears, man. I really hope so. If they get the 4th seed, because I do think that they might stay behind the Bucks, Celtics, and Sixers for the majority of the regular season. I do believe they would actually have a chance against the Sixers in the playoffs, but not necessarily as much the first 2. But man, if we get that 4-5 matchup with either the Cavaliers or the Pacers, and then we get either the Cavs rematch or we get a bunch of Tyrese Halliburton versus Jalen Brunson media fodder.
Oh, can't wait.
be peak television, let me tell you.
It really will be.
Ryan, do you want to plug your book one more time and anything else you're doing before we sign off out of here?
No, absolutely. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me again. This was a lot of fun. Really great. Keep up the awesome work. And I'll keep you more updated as the book gets more developed. But the book is called Winning and Grinning, about our man, Walt Clyde Frazier. It's a children's rhyming biography, and it will be out very soon. I will let you know for sure.
Do you have a list of all of the Clydeisms that you're trying to fit in there? Do you have since you work literally for MSG Media, do you have just a giant wall somewhere at your job that's just a history of Clydeisms over 30 years that you just get to pick from?
I absolutely do. On my phone, I have a Google Doc of every because I'm listening to every game. I have everyone I could ever think of, and not just the rhyming ones, but just like precocious or percolating, or just like different like little words that he uses a lot. And I absolutely do. And I tried, and I made sure to get as many as I can in the book.
I really hope I see precocious neophyte in there. It has to be in there.
Of course. Of course.
Oh my God, Ryan, I love it. And then what's your Twitter and Instagram handle so people can find you on there?
Right now it's Ryan Sirg, RyanSirg, and that's both for Instagram and Twitter.
Do you use like TikTok or Threads or anything else like that, or no?
Not yet, but it'll be moving. It'll be getting there.
I'm getting our Threads up, man. I'm trying to get every single guest to come over to the Threads. It's way more peaceful. It's more positivity on Threads than there is on X.
I'm all about that. So sure, yeah, get me on.
And Instagram makes it easy. You can post on Instagram and it says, "You want to post on X?" Yes, and then you just did 2 postings at one time. You don't have to do anything else.
All right, I'm there.
Let's go. Again, for everyone listening, make sure to go to bignickenergy.com for the rest of your merchandise that you want to get for Christmas. Code is XMAS23 by December 11th. Assuming this gets released December 8th, you'll have 3 days from listening to this to put in the code, get free shipping, guarantee your delivery from Christmas. Again, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment on YouTube, Apple, Google, and Spotify. Anything boosting us up the algorithm helps. We are now a top 10 Knicks podcast online, which it took a while for us to get there. And I have to thank Mill a lot for doing all the post games and then me editing the post games and just all that you need to do for anyone wanting to become a content creator or work in television after a long time of going to school and building up your resume like Ryan is, or like I'm trying to do. It's all about posting. They want to see your content. They want to see you post, and they just want to see that you constantly have the gusto and you do it all yourself. If you are your own hardworking critical thinker, you will get very far in the TV and film industry. I think Ryan can attest to that.
I couldn't agree more. Consistency, keep it up. Even when you don't feel like doing it, just keep up the content, man. You guys are doing great. I can't wait to see more growth. And yeah, love the account.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. And we love the work you do. I look at your graphics every single day. So it's awesome.
All right. Hopefully no spelling mistakes coming up.
Hopefully, like I said, as long as you spell Chase Bank right, it's all good.
That's it. You know who to blame.
Yeah. And with that, I'm going to sign off. Let's go Knicks. Peace.